You know how you can like something, but you still have to notice the little teeny weeny things about it. Like zombies. I love zombies. Let's be clear. I play this. This is the main thing that I play on the game. I enjoy it. I feel like it's the fastest way to upgrade my guns and get my attachments the way I need and get skins and the endless grind for skins. I think it's one of the few things that helps you get it done faster. I enjoy it. I play with my friends across the country and I play with my old lady. You see Mrs. Brown right there. We play the game and we enjoy it. Quick way to burn a couple hours on the weekend. With that being said, there's a few things that are annoying that we have to touch on. When you're shooting backwards and you're walking backwards and you're lining everybody up, because that's what people who play zombies like to do. They like to get a good lineup, a horde going. Back in the day, you could do this flawlessly. There was no problem with getting this done. Now, they will basically have zombies auto appear behind you to stop you from doing it. It is this type of egregious overstep, which is why I have a problem with whoever is doing this at Treyarch and Activision. I have a problem with the genre of games because you do something I call you overstep. You go past what needs to make the game good to the point of always taking a leg away from the player. A lot of these things can be combated, but you can buy gumballs or whatever like that. But I just feel like it's just something the dev does. They just, when they play the game and they figure out what we like to do, and then they code against it. As if they're coding against their own best interests. So if you play this game and you get a good horde going and you're driving, you're going backwards and you turn around and shooting, people will just appear behind you. Every time you get in the good, you going good, you will get hit behind. It don't matter what situation you're in, bro. It could be a place where there's no place for them to spawn. They'll just be behind you. And the first few times you're like, yeah, I get it. But then after a while, as the stages go on and on and on, you realize, oh, this is prominent. No matter what you do, you're going to get hit from behind. It's almost trying to negatively reinforce you from walking backwards. And it's one of those things that as I get older, I realize and I pay attention to, because I have a working memory of the games before. And oh my God, something's wrong with this. How they're always behind me. And then I can't walk backwards. I can't go backwards. And someone will say, oh, well, that happens. That's not a big deal. It isn't a big deal. I get it. And it's not enough for me to stop playing it by any means. But I feel like you have to be able to put criticism to things that, even if you like it. Like I said, I like the game. This is the main thing that I'm end up playing. This and multiplayer. A little Warzone. I just noticed that if you live with a technology, you live with a game for long enough, you can tell what edit is sleazy. You can tell what edit is sleazy. You can feel it. It's like, oh, why would you do that? Oh, they I'll give you a perfect example. In Warzone, everybody loves to go to Old Town and plunder. They like to go to Old Town. So what did the devs do on the new upgrade? They took most of the cash boxes out, or took the potency of the lock boxes out. So now you're kind of running out of ammo. You can tell, you're like, oh, y'all programmed against this action we were doing. That means you went somewhere, you sat down and you said, how do we stop them from going to Old Town? That's what I mean by you're coding, and I'm using coding as a general term for programming, but you're coding against the customer. See, back in the day, they would have built a stage just for Old Town because they knew we liked it. And they would have called it Warzone Old Town 24/7. They'd have called it something like that. Or they would have made the rebirth situation or the resurgence. They would have made that little part right there, and it would have been probably from the size of the dome to grandma's house and a little bit over water, and that would have been the whole stage. And it only been 40 people in there. That it did something like that. That's what I call programming for the customer. This new age where I believe the devs resent us, they don't do that. If you like something, they take it out. If you're good at something, they'll edit against it so it doesn't work for you. And that's why most people feel like when a new engine comes out, they hate it, because every skill that you have learned, they have programmed against the skill. They programmed against you being good at it. I tell you another thing I'm noticing too. When I'm playing multiplayer, I notice people don't drop shot as much anymore because they've programmed against it. It is not as effective as it was. So everywhere you get a leg up and you learn a skill, they program against it. Now, one of the beautiful things about zombies, I went off topic, but you understand what I'm trying to say. One of the beautiful things about zombies was getting a freaking helicopter strike. And it would be the defining moment of the game. If you were about to exfil, or your people was about to be overrun, you could get you a nice airstrike, a nice chopper gunner. People call it different things. On this game, that doesn't fix your problem. A few things going wrong with the chopper gunner. Number one, they will fictitiously point it away from what you're trying to shoot. So instead of you just being able to load and the helicopter just be aiming where, it'll be putting it in a way where your gun doesn't turn and hit everything. This is a perfect example of the devs programming against you. Why would that be a thing? One of the key factors in the designing of helicopters is to be able to lift without boost, without flying very fast to get drag. I don't know all the airplane terminology. Someone who does this, tell me what I'm trying to say. You're able to lift without going forward. You just lift straight up. And another thing about it is it's his 360 ability. So you're telling me the helicopter cannot turn towards the enemy that I use this to kill? That's one. So if you use it wrong, you won't be pointing towards the action. So you just burned it. They put that in there. Number two, it chooses and highlights what you can hit. So you can't just devastate the round. You used to be able to come in and hit the biggest and just knock them. Now, no, they'll pick and choose. And if you look closely, you can see there's some that have the red mark and some that don't. Some that just flat out don't. They'd have no distinguishing marks between who's who, and they don't need that, but everything should light up so you can mow them down and get those points. They have programmed against that. Now you're shooting and it's like, man, this chopper gunner, you feel like, man, it doesn't have the potency. So you're at the end of the match, you could use a chopper gunner and still lose the match. In Cold War, this was blasphemy. This could not happen. So you're thinking, well, I was shooting at this building. How are these people still here? That's because it's picking and choosing what you can hit. That's what I call dirty programming. It's dirty programming. It's just, oh my God, we know this works, so we're going to program against their ability to do it. And that type of stuff, it really grinds my gears because I think it's just wrong ethically. It's terrible. And what you end up doing is you start turning people off from your game, which is what everybody is running into with Call of Duty. After a while, people get tired of you finding out what we like to do and programming against it. So what you end up being, you're not the people we're buying the game from. You're the freaking adversary. You're the enemy. Because as soon as we figure something out, you edit against it. And sometimes these things are good, sometimes. But every single thing we like to do, you edit against. That to me does not make sense. See, I'm walking backwards. And you're walking backwards. and you're trying to shoot everything you can shoot. And if you keep doing it, anybody will just pop behind you. And it's not like they fell out of the wall or came out of the hole. They'll just appear. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. You comment at the bottom and tell me, what have they changed out of Zombies that you think that was just underhanded and they shouldn't have done? The chopper gunner doesn't have the same gusto as it used to have. They pick and choose on what you can kill. You're walking behind, someone will just end up behind you with no freaking problem. Y'all tell me in the bottom, am I making this up? Am I assuming? Am I jumping to conclusions? Is it annoying? Did Old Town lose some of its crates? Y'all tell me. This is TB the Gamer. We just want a real conversation here. We want to hold these blood-sucking tech bros to the fire. That's all we want to do. And have a good game without you noticing we're having a good game and then programming against my fun, programming against after I've given you money. If you like this type of content, hit the sub button. Hit the bell. We're going to get in a few people's ass. Who are these people? Cheaters, developers, the companies. That's whose ass we're going to get into. And we're going to have real conversations about it. And you're more than welcome to comment in the bottom and say how you feel, if I'm right or wrong. We're open to that. It's not I think you're wrong and we cuss each other out. No, I'm open to it. Don't do drugs. Stay in school. And cheaters, you're a piece of shit.